everyone. We are live.
Are we really?
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
So can everyone hear us? Maybe we experience some problems. Maybe if someone can type that everything is okay in the chat window.
We are hearing each other with Can, but I hope you can also hear us. Are you with us?
Oh, Eda is here.
Okay. Perfect. So maybe we are now 11, 12, so the number is increasing. Just maybe it will be good to wait for a few more minutes, and then we'll start, I hope, a lively discussion.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe we can share the first slide of the presentation.
Yes.
Put it up already.
But before, maybe we introduce ourselves. So maybe Can Hoca, you can just.
Sure. Okay, so let me open the session. Actually, we'll be sharing this session with Begüm, and actually Begüm will be chairing the session, and I will be co-chairing her. So I'd like to welcome everyone to this session on smart cities. As you know, we are doing the first Neurotech2040 event right now. The idea is that we will discuss Neurochallenges, and then we will actually gather those Neurochallenges, which will be addressed in the coming years in NeurotechEU. So that's a very important and stimulating, supposedly stimulating session that we are carrying out right now. So what we will be trying to do is to provide a perspective, because the topic smart cities is huge. Actually, we won't be able to cover everything, and that won't be our task too, but we will just provide a perspective for a potentially major source of neuro challenge like smart cities. And then what we will do is take sustainable development of cities as a pillar to emphasize the topic, so use it as an exemplar. And now we will first, afterwards, go into relatively dig deeper in another example, which is design of public space, smart design of public space. So we will provide you some pictures and hopefully illustrative slides on that. And after we do that, as I told you, the aim is not to illuminate the topic and give you a lecture about something known. What I noticed in the morning sessions with the students, they were trying to provoke some discussion, but they were receiving questions. And we have to clarify that we don't know the answers to potential questions. What we are interested in is the questions. So we will be provoking, hopefully, your thinking and collecting your ideas. That will be the idea. And Begüm will be doing that. So maybe Begüm can share a few points on that, and then we can go into the presentation.
So in order to have this interactive session, like 90 minutes session, effective, we have some tools. I think you are already familiar with the Crowdcast tools. We have the chat box, where I think it's easiest to write comments. So please use it extensively. And also, if you would like to ask maybe questions, or you can potentially suggest a topic for discussion, then you can use the ask a question section, right? But for this interactive session, to facilitate a bit like feedback from this, I don't know the number we have of participants, but assuming we will have quite a bunch of people, we are also using a complementary tool, the Menti, where you can put keywords using the code. So I will be sharing you in this call for action link. If you now go to the menti.com, for instance, we will be sharing with you the code, and you will be able to put keywords to a set of questions we provide, and then we will automatically see the word cloud constructed, and it will be also possible for us to discuss the results of our session a bit. And of course, if you would like to join the screen and the stage for the discussion, and I hope many of you will, we will invite you, so you can just write to the chat box, and then we will just invite you, and I hope we will also have direct interaction in this manner. So please, I mean, if there is any need for clarification, ask, but I'll also put in the chat box the menti.com and the code, and the rest is with the Crowdcast screen and window.
Okay, great. So you can remind the tool when its short presentation ends, maybe.
Yes.
So, I mean, we didn't introduce ourselves really, but the first slide has been on for a while, so you may have seen who we are. We are representing Boğaziçi University, and it's very exciting to take part in this really challenging neuro challenge, smart cities. Maybe we can go to the next slide, please. Okay. Well, as I told you, we will take this sustainable development of cities as a pillar. And if you look into that, it doesn't necessarily represent everything about smart cities, but it's a fair pillar. And it is already a multidisciplinary complex problem. So we are actually surrounded by such problems in our daily lives, and we want to take good decisions. That's what we're trying to do. And in the case of sustainable development of cities, what we aim at is adaptive utilization of resources. And of course, to be able to do that, we need to make context-aware decision making. So these are the central elements. If you just click Begüm, okay. And for that, technically, what we need is designing or having tools of real-time sensing. And also, as this is a university which is inspired by brain and neurofunction, we'll use brain neuro-inspired control algorithms taking this data into account, and then try to process the decision from that. Could you do another click, please? Well, if we look into this from this perspective, a neuro challenge for smart cities requires hybrid intelligence. So this is a term Tansu is postulating. I want to give full credit to him, and it's a very nice term. So I wanted to use it here. It's a hybrid of many components, and what you see here is obviously educational research, technological innovation, and of course societal innovation. These are work packages 4, 5, and 6 in NeurotechEU, and obviously currently we are in the middle of work package 3, remember. So these components should go hand in hand in a hybrid intelligence problem. And if you think about it, I'm an engineer by training, so relatively having difficulty talking in a topic like this. If I make mistakes, you should excuse me for that probably. But what we are inclined to do as technical people, when you talk about an innovation, we take it as a technological innovation. And in this case, like as we're discussing about sensing, we talk about design of sensors and collecting data from those devices. But what we should just do is not that. We should also collect information from people. So even that should involve, or any technological innovation which doesn't go in coherence with a societal innovation wouldn't work. It won't be successful. So in that case, what you should do is maybe get some feedback from the society as well, or collect their approval, their data, opinion, information from that too. And while you do that, that's fascinating to me. You will still need technological innovation. Maybe you will need an app, for example, and you have to design something technological for that. And in order to do that, you need a societal innovation. So these things really should go hand in hand. Begüm will elaborate on these factors.
So in a way, of course, this discussion of sustainable urban futures somehow address in an integrative manner multiple issues, like John tried to explain a bit. Like you can think of demography, housing, infrastructure, transportation, health, land use, pollution, even social coherence, right? But what we would like to do here is to focus the discussion we have, and that's as part of the our Neurochallenges maybe, on three key issues that might be addressed in relation to the sustainable development of cities. So, of course, we would like you to a bit open up these issues. And if you think of more important issues to be addressed, feel free to also maybe put it on the comment box. But here what we have is, first of all, public transportation and mobility, right? And then you also have this idea of, we would like to understand how urban life affects our minds and health. And here it's both bodily health and mental health. And that's what I understand from neurourbanization. And then we also have this idea of smart design of public space, right? Of course, here the idea is if we would like to address these issues, we have to have some key principles. And here we suggest a list of principles that are around, and inclusion, so no one should be left behind, security, public health, and resilience. I think now we better understand, this idea of the ability to withstand periods of crisis under COVID circumstances. And then also you have this idea of citizen science, where we would like citizens to actively work with academics, engineers in addressing these issues in cities. So we would like citizens to become part of the solution and engage in this problem-solving exercise. So now what John maybe might be doing, given this multiplicity of phenomena and this idea, we focus on the smart design of public space. So just to make things a bit more concrete, we would like to elaborate on an example with a focus on this smart design of public space. So John.
Yeah, okay. Now, as you know, we are living in Istanbul, and it's a huge city really with millions of people. And we have these public spaces, and as the topic says, it's smart design of public space. That's actually actively evolving topic. And the Greater Municipality of Istanbul is calling on design competitions for several spaces that it has. And you're seeing one example on the left picture. In such cities, these spaces will have major public transportation hubs like ferries, buses, tram, metro lines are intersecting. And if you look at the picture on the right, you will see many people in a space like this. Sometimes they all are going in various directions. Some of them have a clear goal of where to go and maybe even in rush, but others are tourists. Istanbul is a very touristic place. They are just strolling and maybe looking to find some attraction. But this can be chaotic at times, because especially when they go in multiple directions, they may bump into each other. And during regular use of the space, this may be handled. But at times of crisis, especially, this can be a problem. If you go to the next one, yeah. But there are places, public spaces, especially in Istanbul, which channel people to move in one direction, but they will not hesitate to go still in the opposite directions. One is going down the street, the others are coming up the street. Istiklal Street is one great example. And normally, like if you're with a child, for example, you're in trouble in the street, or if you're really rushing to find to go meet someone, or you have an appointment for work, trying to reach a destination, that can be very difficult. So these places can be crowded, if you go to the next slide, or at times they can be very, very crowded. So if you think about the routine use of the space, maybe we can go one back again.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah. Okay. So in the routine use, if you think about these major public spaces with many people and various attractions and targets and people with goals or without goals, there is a lot to regulate. But if you think about crisis, like Begüm was mentioning, sorry, like the pandemic, this is an actual crisis that we are in, and the solution Istanbul is finding to that crisis currently is that. So like one day the street is packed, the other day it's completely evacuated. So I don't think this is really like managing the problem, but we can have some smart managing of these problems. That's why I wanted to show you this example. Now, how we can do this, or what are elements to that, Begüm will elaborate on.
So, like, I think the example gives us this idea of the routine on the one hand, and also times of crisis on the other. And we also know that this idea of urban design, urban planning has been going through a major transition. And so it's not only a traditional engineering approach that we are looking for. And so I think, are clear that we need this more like multidisciplinary approach that attempt to cover a wider range of policy objectives for the routine and for times of crisis. And by the routine, I think we go back to our principles: inclusion, security, public health, and the idea of micro mobility, perhaps. And then times of crisis, now we are all familiar with this, in the case of Istanbul at least, like the idea of earthquake, storm, terror attack, and the pandemic. And so there are, of course, new research directions and advances concerning decision-making processes, how to deal with these issues in a way. And I think the idea of this session would be also to combine the techniques we have at hand and maybe the future techniques we would need. But here we are listing a bunch of, let's say, tools and techniques that we think could be related and used during these processes. And we are already perhaps familiar with the smart sensor techniques, but we also have this idea of, including multiple constituencies within the city perspective, because just these constituencies will have different preferences, value orientations, expectations, and we need to have this, public participation in a way that would co-create knowledge. And so that's what we mean by design of smart citizen science techniques, and the idea of the value articulation institutions and for reflexivity. And how can we connect better people and communities? All these would require, of course, tackling big data, developing some maybe algorithms, and designing of smart public space layouts, lighting, billboards, sound systems. So the idea is we will all working together. And one thing, of course, all these might look quite conceptual, theoretical, right? But of course, within NeurotechEU, as we have been also discussing a bit in the morning, within these thematic areas, and in particular for the smart cities, we will be working with different agencies. And for instance, there is this action plan, which takes also on board, for the case of, let's say, Istanbul, we will be working for the greater municipality, the Metropolitan Municipality, Istanbul Planning Agency, and Institute Istanbul. So these will be our associate partners. And also, it's very important, I think, to build alliances, just because all these different social actors will play different roles in this process. So I think that's more or less what we would like to say. So what we have is next maybe is a set of questions. And before we start with the questions, I will be stop sharing my screen, and we will go to the, let's say, session, and I will share with you the code so that we first start with a like kind of icebreaker, the idea of what a smart city means to you, to us. So that will be the first way of interacting. And then I hope we will have this more structured also process. We have 3 questions to put on the floor, and I think it's better to go one by one. So after the first, word cloud, we'll go back to the slides, and I'll be sharing with you the first question, and then open the floor for also discussion. But in the meantime, please feel free to just write any comments you have for the, let's say, discussion you might already have in mind. We'll be reporting all these back in the afternoon session, right? So let me stop sharing.
And you'll be using Menti to post
yes.
the questions.
Okay, great. So we are now 16 in the room. So great, we are not many, but also maybe that will also give us this opportunity to invite everyone. And so I'm just sharing you with the code. And the first question we have is on the Menti. So, I mean, if you just go to the website, www.menti.com, and use this code, the first question you will see is what smart city means to you. And you can just enter more than one keyword, right? You can also just write 2-3 words, I think, and this will appear as a word cloud here when we will be updating the link. So just maybe take a few seconds. And in the meantime, I will be also checking the chat box to see if you have any specific comments or questions. We don't have so far, right? Any questions or comments. But I mean, as John said, we are not experts at all on smart cities. We all have our own disciplinary background. So the idea should be just to freely open up debate and just say what smart city brings to our minds. So I'm just updating to see whether we have any keywords.
Did everyone follow how to use Menti? It's a very nice tool that I learned through this.
Yes, we are some coming in.
Uh-huh.
So let's, and I think we can also keep discussing, but so if anyone would like to come and comment on something, feel free also to ask for an invitation. Yes, great, we are having this. Can you, now I will be screen sharing. Can you see? I'll be screen sharing for my Menti this time. Smart cities, share. Yes. So we have this list. And you can, I think, enter multiple times, right? So safe, connected, citizen-friendly, considers everybody's needs, synchronized, accessible, mobility, intelligent, responsive, sustainable, livable. Okay, great adjectives that we all would like to achieve, I think.
Yeah.
And okay, great. And a hybrid city. So this would, I think, yes, and feel free to maybe continue feeding in. Now what we would like, do you think we could just go on with the discussion now, John, with the other questions?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'll be stopping screen sharing. And now, the first question we had for you is the following. I mean, where do you think we are in relation to smart cities, right? And or what are the societal needs we have, like in terms of our current urbanization practice? Where are we, and what are the societal needs in 2020?
Some of the keywords people were pausing. They could be
exactly
for this, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And you also have now, I would like to open the floor for discussion and your comments on this, let's say, question. The first question will take like around maybe 10 minutes, assuming that we have now around 1 hour, I think, for leaving the session. I don't know how are we doing with timing. We started a bit late, and then we will follow up with the other two questions. Okay, where are we? What are the societal needs in 2020? Let me also put this in the chat box.
Well, regarding the timing, we used half an hour already, so we have 45 minutes.
Okay, great. So where are we? What are the societal needs? And in the Menti, you will also see that we have a slide paralleling this question. So, I mean, while we have people commenting, I would really like that you also, again, go to the Menti and just put any keywords you are, but you have in mind in relation to where we are. Maybe this could be problems like, or our societal needs. The adjectives we had for the idea of the smart city were more positive framing of where we would like to be, and the societal needs are maybe mirroring them. Okay, so anyone willing to contribute to the discussion? We are 15. We have 15 attendees, and you could also write your backgrounds, like disciplinary backgrounds, in order to facilitate maybe as an icebreaker. It would be nice to see the profile of the participants we have. And please feel also free to come on stage if you just would like to comment. And living in Istanbul, I can imagine many societal needs. In a metropolitan city, 15 million, but who would like to be the first?
And yeah, well, of course, there are other aspects, as we mentioned in the presentation. So if you think different aspects are relevant for smart cities, please also pop them up.
And I will be checking the Menti. Maybe we also that we have many responses for the smart cities version. We also, where we are, maybe it's easier to collect ideas from people, but so now it's full in relation to what smart city means to you. So we have a nice word cloud. While waiting one of the participants to comment on the question we have, where we are in terms of societal needs, or what are the societal needs, we have a question. Do you think intelligent cities may eventually result in interesting artificial city-state warfare like in ancient times? That's a very interesting question, and that's more like a kind of, what also I had in mind, coming from a social sciences background, I also have some worries in mind in relation to where intelligent cities, smart cities might go, and that's exactly why we would like to have this citizen science perspective in as well, right? Like we need to have this somehow in retrospective under social control as well, and with some transparency principles. And I think that's a question we cannot just answer, but in the process, it's very important to keep this in mind. So this question should always be with us. That's the way I would comment. So we have Cemre Sukaya. I am not familiar with the subject, but as a citizen, we need public health protection, energy, and clean water. Great. And then we also have Melike. The problem is that the technology is not accessible and not reachable for every segment of society. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, part of the maybe where we are in 2020, right? I think that's great in the sense that we don't have enough public health protection. We don't have enough access to energy and clean water. So these are like the societal needs we have. And in terms of the technological divide, I also agree that this is not reachable to every segment of the society. So we'll take this as societal needs. And then also, Maike, technological progress is not accessible for everybody due to social differences. So I think she is adding on to Melike's comment. That's like income differences, right? Societal, income divide, inequalities.
So can this kind of challenge be addressed? My co-chair.
We have to find ways of, by being more inclusive requires addressing this problem. So no one will be left behind idea, I think, is now at the core of many reports. Great. So we have an active audience now. Affordable housing is a big need. Affordable housing, I think, is also part of the issue. Yes, great, thanks. A smart city should be predictable. Yes, uncertainty is a very important item. Predictability, a lot are happening in our schedule. We should be able to confidently plan our routine. So I think these are great comments and discussions. If anyone would like to join us directly in order to make a in-depth comments, then also please just write it to the chat box so that we invite you. We can invite, I think, up to 5. No, we are 3, 4, right?
We can invite up to 5.
Up to 5. So, okay, great. And if you could also, in the meantime, put some of these ideas back to the Menti, like affordable housing, as keywords, that would be a great way of reporting back as well. So please actively use also, our Menti.com, and we have some input. So thanks a lot. That's great. It's building up, and so you won't. We will all be surprised by the results. That's always the case.
So the audience is only shy, huh? They like writing.
Yes, and we are just few, so it's great. We already have a lot of input. So thanks. I'm very encouraging, and I would like to encourage further. But this idea of predictability, I think, also is very important, and that's one of the needs, of course, we have, because we are waking up every day with kind of news that is like a kind of shock. So we are always going through shock scenarios, which is a bit.
But that's a huge topic, right? Being predictable. I wonder what Mert has in his mind, because I mean, it's a multidimensional topic, probably, being predictable. You may think about punctuality of public transportation, probably, as predictable. So you know when to reach a destination. That could be some, or you should also, you could be willing to know that there won't be a terror attack on the way, or some other problems.
Yes, and
so it's a huge topic.
Yes, that's true. And Bilgin Metin is just saying that the safe usage of technology should be provided for citizens. So that's part of the, I think, where we are in 2020, that's not yet there. Like we are not there. Yes. So, I mean, would anyone like to say something further on this? If you think we have enough keywords, and in the meantime,
well, what I think is some of these responses could very well be elaborated further on in the podium.
Definitely.
Because they really bear a huge body of information. Maybe like Micah Broomer. Am I spelling it correctly? That's a Dutch name, I assume, or a Belgian.
Yes, Germany, from Germany.
Yeah,
Mike from Germany.
Right. Maybe she can step up. That would be nice to expand the idea, and Bilgin Metin as well. Let's try to actively stimulate people.
Yes. Mike, would you like to stand up and say, elaborate a bit more? If we invite you to screen? If you say yes, I don't want to put pressure on you, but if you say yes, I'll be inviting you. Or, of course, you are free not to accept, but can I just invite you?
It's not very difficult.
I'm inviting you. No, sorry. So you don't accept my invitation. It's okay. Like, we are living in the data age, but personal data should be protected very well. Like, exactly. This is Bilgin Metin is maybe we could just the idea of neuroscience coming in, and the idea of the personal data. Of course, it's key.
Very important. Yeah.
Very important. So would we like to invite Bilgin Metin to elaborate a bit more on that, and then we'll go on to the next question for the future. Bilgin, would you like to come in to the stage?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Also, can I share? We are living in the data age, and when we talk about the smart cities, we mean the data. We are collecting the data from the different sources. There are some sensors everywhere. There are the cameras. They are always watching us. And it could be really very crazy for some people also. And really, we want to trust. And all of our valuable guests describe this. We want a predictable world, but is it possible? For example, I want to share a lovely video. Could I?
I don't think we can.
Yes, I think I can do it.
Okay.
Really, we are collecting huge amount of the data. Okay. We want to trust the data. Most of us know this video very well. A researcher put several smartphones and walking with the smartphones. And please look at to the bridge. Now he's sending such a fake information to the Google Maps. If we look at this, and after a while, the Google shows that there's a huge amount of traffic after a while. Then
I don't see the video.
There is a problem with the video, I think, but
it started well.
Now we can see it.
Now, can you see it now?
Yes. Yes.
Now I will make it bigger. A researcher walking with the several smartphones, and this is the Google map. Now it is describing the smart city very well. There are several sensors, and we are collecting huge amount of traffic. And can we trust them? as you see now, the map is almost red. This is the basic problem of the smart cities.
Can I try to clarify my understanding? This person is going around with a lot of smartphones, so each of them is collecting data and creates the image that there is a crowd on the bridge. Is that the case?
Exactly.
Okay. And then this is depicted as huge traffic going on the bridge, which is not true.
Which is not true. And in the smart city, then the innovation will be very important. Then really we would like to learn different methods collecting the correct data.
Yeah.
And now, when we read the newspaper nowadays, the problem, there are huge amount of news bomb, and we don't know which one is true. Such kind of situation will be available also in the smart cities. Also, we want to be predictable, but can we trust the technology? Really, again, I want to show you another video. It is a fake video, okay, but it could be true because nowadays, in some countries, now some robot police will be used. Now, okay, I think it is enough. Then we are talking about technology, and in the smart technology, the technology will touch us. And how can we manage such a situation?
Great. I think these are neuro challenges somehow, right? Already we have some challenges that are ahead, and that we always have to consider. So just, we also have some new comers, so I'll be repeating what we have been doing. We have been going through some questions, and we just discussed where are we today in 2020, what are the societal needs we have, and so we are using this complementary tool as well with Menti. So we already have some nice keywords already there in relation to where we are. Now I would like to maybe go on with the discussion and just show. So maybe I don't know whether you can see the Menti results. So it might be a good idea to just show you that it's working, so that you will keep putting in. So let me share the results I have. So this is the result I have now for smart cities. So that's great, I think. And then also in relation to where we are, technological tram, traffic solutions. So ethical security. So these are set of where we are. That was the keywords makes more sense if we think of them as societal needs, right? For 2020 in relation to where we are. Now the next question is in relation to where do we want to go in 2020, right? Where do we want to go in 2020? So how do you see the smart city in 2020? I think we already discussed a bit in relation to the idea of smart city, but that was just at the beginning with a free mindset maybe. So given also with what Metin has been showing us, how might things be done differently, right? So, I mean, now we have a set of ideas. How might things be done differently so that we really don't have these issues of trust, let's say, control, technological triumph. etc. So I would really like that now we elaborate a bit, like 15 minutes, how might things be done differently. So this is exactly where I think different disciplines will come together, work together in order to discuss how things might be done differently, right? So that's exactly what we mean by multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity. And here in this session, we are, I think, many from different disciplinary backgrounds, focusing on one particular question. So we already have ethics, human rights, I think exactly things that come from more like social sciences. Psychology and neuroscience have been anyway working together for long, I think. But this dimension of ethics should be brought in as well, of course.
There is another session, by the way, discussing ethics.
Particular session of ethics.
I mean, and that shows that that topic is very relevant here too, and in other neurochallenges too. So it's all of these neurochallenges are they have their intersections and interactions probably.
Great. So please come in with this code, and then now I'll be stopping sharing for a while so that you also have the possibility of sharing the stage. So please keep on doing this. I lost the connection for a while. Okay,
also, Bilgin just disappeared.
Yes, he had a connection problem. Then he put on the. Okay, great. So now let's just really maybe focus on this. Where do we want to go in 2040? And like 20 years time, I think it's a foreseeable future. Like that's what scenario analysis is using that's a midterm. 2050, 60 is more like long-term future. That's a midterm schedule. 2040 from 20 years. I remember the millennium, new year, and so now we are in 2020. Unbelievable. 2040 is just, I think, in the next corner. But I mean, there will be many things changing. So I'm like in 2000, I was doing my MPhil. And there was just this mobile technology, and you would receive a click if someone had read your message with the Ericsson old technology. And now we are doing this online conference. So please just come on stage or just write comments on how things might be done differently. And of course, just ethics, it will be nice to open up the idea of ethics for smart cities, for instance, because here the focus is on smart cities. So what could be the ethical perspective for city designs or, using the neuroscience or technologies? And there are here also lots of stakes, I assume, like John would better know, but you have with these technologies and, the idea of urban planning, there are so many different like stakeholders, actors willing to shape things in the way they would like to gain. So I think in this city planning, you have, of course, winners and losers, or like at the end, different groups will be affected differently, right, from the decisions taken. So it will be important in a way to have these principles at hand. I think the comments you had in relation to the societal needs are great. Now, like based on these and based on the way we do things, and I assume we are doing many things not in the right way, but given that we are under this pandemic circumstances, climate crisis, and huge inequalities, the gap is increasing. There are things are not going well, so we really need to do things differently. So my question to the floor is, what is your opinion on how we might do things? How can we do things differently?
Bilgin Metin is back.
Great.
Yeah, why don't you share your opinion?
Okay, thank you very much. The most important part of the Neurotech is a multidisciplinary study. Now, the engineers are very bright nowadays, and engineers developing the technology, but the technology should be for the people, not people for the technology. Then, in my dream, the Leonardo da Vinci should be a model, because he's an artist and scientist, a good engineer together. Then we should achieve this one. There should be secure, predictable, trustable technology, and technology should be for the people. Also, the Society 5.0 concept should be important. Then we should recognize and understand the need of the people, and we should develop the technology for the people. And I am a cybersecurity guy, and from my point of view, first we should protect the people. And how technology better serve to the people? We should recognize the people, and we should collect the data, but we should protect the data very well. And how can we achieve this? There are several sensors. Maybe there are some robots as a police. Then the students now will get an education and some trainings, and they will manage the future. Nowadays, a student knows auditing security of a computer, laptop, but we see the RoboCop, and also a student in future will make a security audit for such kind of robot. And it means we need some genius, we need some talented people, and we should discover them. And art and science should go together. Because of the art, because of the poetry, we will be better engineers, and people should know themselves, in order to satisfy with the technology. Then the psychology, engineering, cybersecurity, social science, all of them should come together. For this reason, really, I believe in the Neurotech project so much, and I am very happy about it.
Great.
So, actually, are you suggesting that there should be a different training of people, so they will have elements of these different, disciplines or fields, but they should have they should bear some of that kind of expertise, so they will actually then use the technology for people, or because you gave the example of Da Vinci, and at the time he was Da Vinci because you had to know about everything, but now you can't. It's not very easy. But as we are, as European University has that flavor, and NeurotechEU definitely has that, the aim is to train people with like unique educational programs, which can be tailored to their own needs. Do you suggest that those educational programs should be tailored accordingly, so that people can be better fit to this? Like when there is this smart environment, there is people educated fit into that, so that smart environment will go in a healthy direction.
From the cybersecurity point of view, when we look at the news, we can say that a high school students hack the NASA or very secure systems. A primary school student discover a vulnerability in a systems. those are uneducated people. Sometimes education killing the creativity. Then how can we achieve this? Technology is developing much more, and we are teaching the ways to do, and we are killing the creativity. But if we give arts and science together, and the psychology to know people themselves, and this is the only solution. In my humble opinion,
those people who are breaking the codes for security, and even when they are not educated, they don't lack creativity, but maybe they are overly creative, or they don't have a break actually.
Then the solution, for example, when the students miss the arts, beside the technology, they will learn looking at the topic in a different way. They will learn some topics, also they don't miss the big picture.
Nice.
Can you just also put on the maybe keywords for Menti, the idea of arts? Maybe you already did. It will be great to have them there as well in relation to 2040. More of arts, more of poetry. That was also in the 1960s what Kennedy was asking for, like in relation to the GDP calculations. We had so much focus on growth, economic growth, but what matters for a society is exactly what we are discussing today, you know, the basic like needs and the idea of the social society being together, and you know, the love we have for our children, etc., which is missing from the pictures in many ways when you look at this economic technology related issues. Anyway, okay, great. So thanks a lot. Now maybe time to go on with the next question, which is the maybe the issue. So I'll be sharing my screen again, and just first to show you the, you know, what we have for the where do we want to go. So maybe we could really have here, we have ethics, arts is missing, so it will be great. Harmony with nature. I'm an ecological economist, so that's, I think, one of the key issues. Okay, and then maybe we could take on the discussion to this idea of where are the knowledge gaps. And the idea of the knowledge gaps here is not only with technology, of course, or the way we would gather data. It would be also, I think, as we have been discussing in relation to the university training, what NeurotechEU is promising somehow. And so in the morning session, there was this keynote, I think, speech saying that it's better not to have a bad education, higher education. And what are the knowledge gaps for what we would like to achieve, right? So in this 20 years time, we will be, I'm sure, co-creating somehow different types of knowledge. Sometimes it will be just created by experts. Sometimes it will be created by more like activists, resistance movements. You also have like strong social movements, and in many issues. And so if we would really like to achieve the smart city design we would like to have, or, you know, address problems of mobility better, or to have better, healthier cities, where are the knowledge gaps?
Yeah. So we have about 13 minutes to address this last question. 13.
Yeah,
and then we have to stop.
Okay. Session. Okay, so I think we have enough time. We are doing great, I think, in terms of timing. So, so I will be stopping sharing the screen. I will stop sharing the screen, but keep on. What are the knowledge gaps? So we have 11 participants, so we are not many. Please feel free to so we have some agreeing with Bilgin, some participants agreeing with Bilgin, so thanks Bilgin Hoca. And then, the knowledge gaps, that would come from different disciplines, but it's not only about, like, for instance, we have been doing this study in relation to the sustainability of cities, like 10 years ago, and the idea of, traffic, like the idea of traffic jams, it was because we didn't have this satellite information, it was difficult to measure for Istanbul the severity of the problem. And then once we had the satellite info, then Istanbul became like on the top 3 in relation to, and how much this costs to the economy. Then this can be calculated, and all this, mobility replanning, maybe time you take to commute to work, to children to school. So it's all about also understanding who is going where, when. So like now we have a better idea in relation to the problems we have. But I think this is just one little input in the whole picture.
Yeah.
And this could be also social type of info, like in relation to communities. Like in the list, I had been this idea of connecting people and connecting communities, better involving people into the, let's say, discussions, decision making. So do we really have people connected to the city planning and, for instance, or do we have the tools to ask people where they want, what they want, or whether they agree with what has been, what's going on, what is planned, etc. Where are the knowledge gaps? So just I'm trying to open up the question a bit more to inspire your thoughts. And also people are not aware maybe of some of the city problems. They are experiencing part of them, but I mean, now I have been seeing partly also, what, like the percentages in relation to the COVID protection, like 95% protection if you wear, both sides wear masks. So we had these billboards. Let me check. So we are more on the word cloud. Maybe it's just substituting the discussion we would like to have. So I'm now worried about, we have good input. So maybe I will be sharing my screen to just also come up with your comments. Like I would like you to comment also what's coming out now that we have few minutes. Please, I will be showing you what we have, and then maybe we should at least agree whether what we have on screen is what we, whether we are happy with what we have on screen, right? So I would like you to comment on, like, what are the knowledge gaps? So useful products. I would like these useful products to be opened up a bit more.
Yeah.
I don't understand well what we mean by useful products. So it would be great if you comment, for instance, on useful products on the chat box. What are the knowledge gaps? Safe machine learning, culture connected technology. Yeah, like technology is driven by, yes, one maybe type of culture, Western culture, I don't know. Cybersecurity awareness, dissemination of findings. Yeah, I think that's very important. Like the information we have is not shared with the public as much as we would like, maybe, and that's part of the transparency principle. Evidence-based findings, that's exactly where maybe citizen science could go in as well. at top of management level, evidence-based findings at top of management level. Maybe that's all these to go together, or I don't know. Please correct me. Technology literacy, care solutions. Care solutions, I think, yes, we are referring to care a lot in these pandemic days. Care, like solutions that take at its core care as a principle, I assume. Safety issues, yes.
That needs some opening up too, I think, right?
Yes, exactly. At least it would be, so we have maybe like 5-6 minutes. It would be great if you really open up a bit more. Yes, we have few minutes to wrap up. Okay.
Sure.
Great. We have a comment. I'm trying to getting information about eye tracking technology. So we have an architect, Shailan, if I'm mispronouncing, sorry. I'm trying to getting information about eye tracking technology in order to simplify the design process as a new digital technology. So I think that's, yeah.
Maybe another comment would be nice, like how that's related to architecture.
So I'm stopping screen sharing so that we come together at the end of the session at least. Maike says, with IT safety, I refer to vulnerability of technical solutions. Yes, okay, great. That's a vulnerability of technical solutions and how they, yes, they can become obsolete. And I think Metin Hoca also, Metin referred to this idea of safety as well.
Yeah.
And any other comment for maybe, I think we are just like few minutes left. We have few minutes left. We have a question. What kind of safety issues are considered in smart cities for the next decades? Yes, I think that's a question, that's a challenge, right? And knowledge gaps, I think that's part of the knowledge gaps. So that's, we don't know enough what the safety issues we have to deal with, right? So I would take it as a knowledge gap. Or
so
like
safety issues is a well-pronounced gap, apparently.
Gap.
Many people mentioned that, yeah.
Yes. And
so if people are still, are they putting inputs into Mentimeter, or that you stopped it?
no, I did not stop it. You
Maybe
can
a last minute, and then I think
yes.
in general they want us to close, so that
Yes.
we'll join the
IT safety issues. Okay, now I understand. In the Menti, IT safety issues.
IT,
okay.
Yeah.
IT. So that's IT. Thanks, Mike.
We read it as it. So
okay, good.
Small case letters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, now we have 3 minutes. So I have a like kind of info coming in. At that point, your browser will automatically be routed to the main session. Thanks for the wonderful discussions. Just maybe any last minute comment. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, when you are the host, it's like the time passed by. So it's you don't have the chance to think how it's going, but I think we did quite well with this very few participants. In the big room we have 1,050 registered, so we were here with 10-11 participants. So I would really like to thank all for your inputs, and thank you so much. So I just leave the floor to Can for closing.
Yeah, well, I can only thank everyone and Begüm definitely for the excellent session. As she mentioned, I mean, we shouldn't count on every one of these 1,050 being present still. It is later in the day still. So, but we have a lot to carry to the next round table session, and that's excellent.
Okay, great. Thank you all. And see you in 2040.
Yeah. And now we know that it's midterm anyway. So.
Yes, okay, great. Bye-bye.